ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Today, I've got 3 actionable content marketing secrets for you. This may be our longest video to date, so bear with me, but there's a lot of good information in here. Content marketing is a big deal. You've been hearing about it for years now. It's what every company is striving to be successful at. Content marketing is about building a digital presence and developing you or your company's brand online. You might not be sure how to make it happen. Most of the information online is vague and unhelpful. I'm going to give you some real secrets that'll help you build your content marketing expertise. First, I'm going to cover the basics of content marketing. From there, I'm going to give you 3 specific actionable strategies to achieve 3 major aspects of content marketing. I hope you're ready to learn because this stuff is going to change your business. Content marketing is foundationally about engagement. I want to start with a basic premise of content marketing, and that is it's common for companies to want to focus on sales. However, you need to remember that marketing and sales are not the same thing. Marketing is about making the public aware of your brand. Sales is the one-on-one art of closing a deal. You can't interchange the two. However, so many companies try to. Then they cut their marketing budget because they think it's not working. You can't go into content marketing expecting sales to start happening as an immediate result. With marketing, sales don't come immediately. There's a whole lot to marketing before you get to the sale. Number 1, you've got to make the public aware of your brand. Marketing is always start with a message to the public. First, it identifies the need your product solves, then it moves to a product introduction, and finally, it describes what it's like when the product solves the problem. Number 2, you've got to communicate through each stage of the pre-buying process. You've got to help your audience with problem recognition, knowing exactly what the problem is and that they have a problem. Number 2, you've got to help them with research. Teach them about how to solve the problem. 3 is evaluation. Help them determine what the best steps are to solve their problem. And 4 is decision. Help them make that decision to work with your company as opposed to any other. Number 3, marketing has to create a connection to your brand. It's got to build trust, because trust is a foundation of any good client-company relationship. It's got to keep communication open because your clients need to know that you're there for them when they need you, and it has to establish your credibility. They've got to know that you know what you're talking about, that you're an expert in the industry, and that you can actually do the job. If you've done your marketing correctly through these ideas, you can then hand off a lead to the sales team. This is what marketing has done for years. The difference in content marketing is that we're no longer doing it on a generic mass scale effort. Every piece of content is designed to speak directly to the ideal customer, feeling as if it was written or recorded just for them. As a part of a complete inbound marketing effort, components within the content truly are customized to the individual viewer, using automation techniques to alternate images and calls to action to fit the specific lead. Content has to become more personal. That's left marketers in an interesting situation. Because content does a better job at speaking to the ideal customer, the customers are looking for our content themselves. No more intrusions into their evening television. Now, when they come to find us, they're more open to hearing what we have to say. We now have a real opportunity to earn their trust and their business. How to get more content for your effort. I want to start with what's probably the most valuable piece of advice. It's not valuable because it'll bring you more traffic or leads. The value comes from how much time it's going to save you. Most small business owners have way more than just marketing to worry about. On average, a great optimized piece of content takes between 3 and 6 hours to create. That effort is normally only going to get you 1 new opportunity to capture and convert leads. Unless that content gets massive traffic, it isn't worth it by itself. But if you got 10 or more new opportunities, that'd be a different story, wouldn't it? That's the real goal to this strategy. In most cases, it can bring you way more than 10 new opportunities. In some cases, it can bring you over 100. It starts with 1 of the long-form blog posts you should already know how to create. Think about it. If you're writing over 3,000 words of content, you're creating a lot of content. That's a ton of knowledge there. Most of it can stand on its own, despite having a larger effect when put in the context of the information surrounding it. It's these content nuggets that are going to provide you with the additional opportunities. You're going to break them down into appropriate content for your distribution channels. What exactly does that mean? It means that these little bits of content are going to filter into the other formats to fill up your social media, your podcast, your vlog, and any other areas you're working in. Let me explain it fully on a per channel basis. Facebook. Everyone's favorite social network is the single most important content channel you can have besides your own website. It boasts more users than any other social network out there. Over 2 billion users. If you don't have a business Facebook page, you're missing a huge section of the internet. Even if all you do is link all your other stuff through there, you'll get the results that make the minimal effort worth it. The great part about Facebook is that any type of content works. You can share videos up to an hour long. Images get great attention, especially the 360-degree panoramic images. Instant articles boost your blog content. Shared links are beautifully presented to catch attention. And live content can give you an instant connection and instant feedback. Facebook's like the Swiss Army knife of social media. It has all the tools for great distribution, as well as the capacity for all the media types. That gives you a ton of flexibility in your content creation. However, there are 3 types of content you absolutely must do to make your Facebook page successful: text, images, and video. Don't be tempted to share links and move on. I can attest that method doesn't work. You need all three staples of your Facebook content. So let's begin with text posts, which are super flexible on Facebook. Facebook allows an incredibly high character limit, 63,206 characters to be exact. In case you can't visualize that, that's the same length as the scripts for the last 3 episodes of Friends. I don't know if you remember that show. With that kind of flexibility, you could probably write your entire long-form blog post as a status update, but I don't recommend that. You could use a text space to break down a summary of one of the content nuggets you pull from the post. You could also use it to ask questions of your audience related to the topic that your post was about. Quick musings about your latest post, either as you produce it or in retrospect, are engaging as well. Regardless of what you choose to write, leave it very open-ended. Make it easy to engage with. For images, Facebook users prefer funny or amazing images. You know, the kind of stuff that stops them in their tracks. Memes are a great way to use humor in your feed, and they generally see shares on Facebook. The hard part sometimes is finding the right balance of humor and relevance. But know that there's always a meme for your topic, even if you have a small niche. Memes are also a good indicator of whether your niche has an audience. There are also tons of options to make your own memes. The obvious choice for the technically challenged is memegenerator.net. For the more artistic or adventurous, try out Canva or Photoshop. I really suggest you avoid making your own memes if you have a sense of humor like mine. I'm not the greatest joke teller. I get a laugh about half the time at best. I stick with what's available. It's safer for me. Then there's a type of image you'd call amazing. There are tons of things that can fall into this header. Breathtaking views, luxury objects, attractive models, action-packed feats, the rare and unusual. Just about anything that for a moment takes people away from their reality. Like memes, make sure the image is directly related to the content you're sharing. In fact, that's true no matter what type of image you're using. Videos are the third thing you must be doing on Facebook. There are 3.8 billion video views on Facebook, plus tons of evidence that video is growing on the platform. You can bet that Facebook will be making even bigger bids on video in the future, especially considering their recently debuted Watch streaming service. With up to an hour available per video, there's so much you could do with the medium on Facebook. One of the best things you could do is to cut a 2 to 3 minute section out of a vlog, include a valuable piece of information in it. You can then link the full video in the description. This works especially well with an informational vlog. Some people use it effectively by taking a defining moment from a documenting video. Facebook Live is another source of great video content for Facebook. Hold a live discussion about the topic of the blog you're about to share. Then drop the link in the content towards the end of the broadcast. Just make sure you've mastered Facebook Live before you start your first broadcast. Don't limit yourself to one content format per nugget, by the way. You can create each of these formats for every nugget you pull, giving you tremendous amounts of micro content for each long form post that you create. Instagram, the social network made famous by artistic pictures of food and fitness celebrities. It's also a great place for businesses with a fashion or pop culture focus. However, if that's not you, that doesn't mean you shouldn't be there. Instagram is hugely popular with the 18 to 35 age bracket. If that's your target, you need to find a way to make it work for you. Visually stimulating content works best here. So that's the kind of content that you're going to create. Pull information from your long form blogs and feed it into images as captions. You can take an example from our Instagram page. Caption posts that include helpful information tend to work really well in all industries. So here's the process. Grab a quotable from your long form blog. This can be a statement you made, a headline or subheader, or a brief section of content. Find a picture that fits the content. You can use free stock photo sites like Pixabay or Raw Pixel. I definitely recommend you use something original. Rewrite the content snippet so it fits the picture. Sometimes a rewrite isn't necessary, but you're looking to both freshen the idea and fit the space you're using. Add your branding to the image. Usually a well-placed logo, either off to a corner or right below the text, works best. Create your Instagram description. This doesn't have to be complicated. Just briefly elaborate on what the text in the image says. Include a call to action. Ask your audience to like, comment, tag someone, or follow based on what makes the most sense for the image. Find related hashtags. There need to be 30 hashtags that relate to your content. Use display purposes or lead tags to get help finding relevant tags. That's the whole process. When you start with content you've already created, it's really simple. You might have noticed by now that Instagram is great for video too. Don't worry, I'm about to get to that. If you've got a great podcast or video content, you can do exactly the same thing. However, you don't need to be quite as creative. Instead of rewriting the content like you did for an image, you're just gonna trim it. If you're making podcasts or videos, you probably already know what that is. For those of you who haven't started with either format yet, it's simply the act of selecting a snip of content out of the overall podcast or video. Instagram has a 1 minute cap on videos, so try to pick out something that will catch the interest in that time frame. It's okay if it doesn't get to the end of the point. That can work to your advantage, giving people a reason to click the link back to the content. For podcasts, you're going to need to find visuals that work. I've tried using a static image and I've tried using video clips that fit, specifically of me recording the podcast. Both work really well. You can also use a waveform visualization, which actually tends to work a little better. If you're familiar with Adobe After Effects, those visualizations can be created within it. If you're not, you can check out wave.co. If you do, send me your feedback because I haven't tried it yet. Those 30-second to 1 minute videos are going to get the same treatment an image will. Create your description that elaborates, choose a call to action, and select your hashtags. Something that's important to note about the hashtags is placement. If you don't have at least 3 lines of description, include a few line breaks before your tags. Symbols like the plus, minus, asterisk, or period work great to create those line breaks because Instagram doesn't like blank lines and will collapse them. It's going to hide the hashtags below the comment preview, which stops you from looking like a spammer and lets people see that you have content to read. Depending on the length and quality of your original content and how often you post to Instagram, this strategy can provide you with 10 to 30 days of posts. Twitter, 280 characters isn't a lot of space to make your micro content happen. However, it's twice as much as the previous 140 character limit. This is a great spot to do two things differently with your content than any other platform. One of the neat things about social sharing is that it works really well for Twitter users. Visitors from Twitter are 314% more likely to interact with your blog. That translates to comments, shares, and potential backlinks. Those interactions are inevitably going to lead to more traffic. That's a huge benefit, but you do have to consider how to get those Twitter users to visit your blog post. That's where tactic number 1 comes in. Vague, provocative tweets get attention. You may have 280 characters, but if you can keep your tweet to under 100 characters, including the shortened link, you'll see 21% more engagement. A great way to do this is to rewrite your article title in 10 words or less, but increase the ambiguity at the same time. That kind of tweet is going to captivate your potential audience. You can tweet out your article in this way more than once. Just don't do it too many times per week. The other tactic that's unique to Twitter involves less work from you and more from your audience. When you're writing that long form content, make some of your pull quotes tweetable. That means you include a button that says click to tweet with that quote. There are a few technicalities to it, but most blogging platforms have software to make that easier. You're going to give those Twitter users that are likely to engage an easier way to tweet out your blog content. They hit that button and you gain user-generated content. Depending on your traffic from Twitter, that could be hundreds of opportunities per month. Plus, because it's back out to Twitter, that's going to improve your odds of another one going out. SlideShare. You know how to make a PowerPoint presentation, right? SlideShare is the internet's version of your projector or big screen. People share decks full of great content for others to quickly learn from. You can share your own. The process is literally as simple as making a PowerPoint presentation, which is why I mentioned it. Crack open that long form content and turn it into a slideshow. There are some key principles to a great slide deck that you need to know. Number 1, keep it simple. Stick with one idea per slide. Number 2, keep the number of words on a slide to a minimum. Number 3, use visuals that add to the presentation. Don't add distraction. And number 4, like anything else, include a call to action at the end of your slide. SlideShare offers only a single additional opportunity for the same content. However, with over 80 million active users, that single opportunity is a big one for B2B marketers. To expand on that, decks get shared on LinkedIn often, giving you even greater business-to-business exposure. Speaking of LinkedIn, let's go there next. You are creating your professional brand there, right? LinkedIn is the place that every professional needs to be. However, unlike other social networks, LinkedIn isn't about your company. You need to focus on building your personal credibility. Your content is a great way to do that. The best kind of content you can create there is through their article platform. LinkedIn articles work the same as a blog. Technically, it no longer exists under that name, but it's the same idea. To publish a LinkedIn article, click the Write an Article button under your status update. You have more than enough space to write a complete article here with a maximum limit of 110,000 characters. Depending on the length of your pillar content, you can get 3 to 5 LinkedIn articles by rewriting your sections. Expanding on the individual sections of your long form blog post allows you to share great content without having to get overly creative. You also don't need to remember the super long form rule that you should be following on your own blog. LinkedIn's SEO doesn't help you get traffic to your site the same way. Expanding those sections to around 1,000 words each, along with great imagery and a link back to your original content, will boost your credibility and your traffic. To further increase the amount of content you can create for LinkedIn, convert your content into an infographic. Infographics make your content easy to digest. They have a great impact on your social shares. Also, remember those SlideShare decks we just talked about? Share those on LinkedIn too. That's an easy way to get another 5 to 10 pieces of content shared on social media. What to do to maximize content engagement? You've created a fantastic piece of content and all the micro content to go with it, but all that would be a total waste if nobody interacted with it. Lack of interaction basically means that nobody was paying enough attention for it to matter. To be fair, that's going to happen quite a lot in the early days of your content. Until you've built up enough of a successful following that's looking for content like yours, it's going to be pretty quiet. But if there's no interaction, you're also not building an audience. It's a bit of a self-feeding cycle. That means you've got to take action to get the engagement that you need. Depending on the platform you're trying to get engagement on, there are many different ways to do that. Let me go over each platform on a general scope. Basically, I'm going to lump together the platforms that have similar methods just to make things a little simpler. The best way to improve engagement is to improve exposure, and these ideas are going to help you do that. Group platforms. Facebook and LinkedIn are great places to join a group. Groups are a sort of forum where people with like interests share their content. They can be related to hobbies, neighborhoods, careers, mutual benefits, entertainment tastes, food. There can be a group for just about anything you can think of. There are probably more varieties on Facebook than on LinkedIn, as the latter is more career focused, but the variety still exists.